Now at 4, it has been a very busy 2 weeks for the Supreme Court, from major landmark rulings to welcoming its newest justice. Joining me now to break it all down is Meet the Press moderator Chuck Todd. Chuck, well, this has been quite a week. The justices ruled to limit the EPA's power when it comes to curbing power plant emissions. I mean, that's just one of many, many things. So walk us through what happened this past week and what's so significant about it all.
Well, I think what you saw is this, everybody's been wondering, what does a true super majority conservative court deliver? And you can see, I'll tell you this, it's not ideologically very consistent, right? When you look at the gun ruling, basically siding for individual rights versus the abortion ruling, which sided for the government's rights. So there's not a lot of ideological consistency, but there is political consistency in that the conservative justices seem to vote the Republican line on various issues, and the liberal justices voting more on the Democratic line, which I think has been the real cost for this court now. You know, we've been seeing the polarization creep into Congress, creep into our city councils, school boards. The court, the Roberts Court, sort of before Trump appointed all these folks, the Roberts Court before then, really, it always leaned right, but he attempted to sort of, you know, keep a little bit of an equilibrium that kept it above the political fray. And I think the way we've now put Supreme Court justices on the court these days, with bare partisan majorities, and where we've gone over the last 5 years, I think now many in the public view all these decisions through a political lens, because, again, I said there's no ideological consistencies in these rulings. They're all political consistencies, which means those robes are no longer black. They're red and blue, and that's not a good place for people to perceive the rule of law essentially being up for political debate every 2 years.
So let's talk Roe v. Wade quickly and the justices and their part in this prior to being seated on the Supreme Court. What do you think it says when you hear, you know, they played back before during confirmation hearings their answers to what they would do in a case with the ruling of Roe v. Wade, and no one was definitively saying they would overrule it. But then we saw what happened. So, I mean, as just a regular old citizen watching it, you think, I can't believe anything they say then. Right.
I think, Carolyn, there's no other way for you to look at it other than what you just said. I agree. I think the confirmation process is a joke. It's been a joke for a long time because everybody has their answers. You do the wink, the non-versations that you have. You know, everybody talk precedent, speak in code. Enough of this speaking in code, because the code was misread. Look, you know, it's interesting. Brett Kavanaugh never said he would not overturn Roe v. Wade. He simply stated facts, and people decided to take those facts, which he said, look, Roe v. Wade has been upheld multiple times. Casey made it a super precedent. He said all of those things. And then when you realize, if you start to parse it like a lawyer, you realize, oh, he actually never told us anything other than a set of facts. He never was telling us that he was supportive of precedent, that he actually believed in precedent. And I just think that people heard what they want, and this kabuki theater of confirmation, I hope we rip the, we sort of wipe away the veneer of this, because however we've been doing it isn't working.
Chuck Todd, thanks so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And you can watch Meet the Press on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. right here on WCNC Charlotte.